breadwinners were taken away from their families in a brutal manner, and untold pain and suffering befell the families and relatives. The entire South African nation was shocked.
A long-awaited announcement, 18 months of hearings and testimony from more than 56 witnesses. Ultimately, the commission found that Lonmin was at fault by failing to address the concerns of the miners in the first instance. The police failed to implement correct measures in dealing with public order incidents, and that the unions didn't control their members sufficiently. For lawyers of the injured miners, the report was largely a vindication.
We have already spoken to the clients, and we are probably going to be meeting with them on Sunday to give our view of the report. We're hoping to study it in 2 days, not in 3 months. Let me put it this way, this is not the last word on this. That I can tell you 100%.
The police seem to bear the largest portion of blame.
The affected ministers will study the Commission's report and advise me on the implementation of the recommendations. The Commission has also recommended that there must be an inquiry into the fitness to hold office of the National Police Commissioner, as well as the Northwest Provincial Police Commissioner, in terms of Section 9 of the South African Police Service Act.
The police commissioner says she'll respond no later than the 31st of July.
The National Commissioner of the South African Police Service, General Ria Pierre, has indeed received a letter from President Zuma regarding the findings and the recommendations of the Marikana Commission of Inquiry. Out of respect for the processes outlined by the President, SABC management has taken a decision not to make public pronouncements about the report, its findings and recommendations.
Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was the then Lonmin non-executive shareholder and lambasted for sending an email to senior political figures asking for concomitant action to be taken in Marikana, was exonerated. The report found that he had not exerted any undue political influence on role players.
Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has noted the release of the Farnham Commission report into the Marikana tragedy. Deputy President Ramaphosa will indeed study the contents of the report and will in due course provide his comment. Deputy President Ramaphosa voluntarily gave evidence to the Farnham Commission with a view to assisting the Commission to reach its conclusions.
Former Police Minister Nathi Mthethwa and former Minerals and Resources Minister Susan Shabangu also weighed in.
Would welcome the report. And would say that it's a 600-page document. Obviously, we still have to look into it. But what is important is the point we've always made, that it's inconceivable that a government of the people will sit plan for the death of its own people.
What was released yesterday is very important for the country, but also welcoming the balance of the report itself. And whilst one has not gone through, still have to study the report itself, I think it's good for the country. It brings certainty, but also it deals with issues which we need to address as government.
The widows, injured and arrested miners are furious, saying the details of the announcement were poorly communicated.
It's unfortunate, it's disgraceful that they weren't given the opportunity, they weren't given notice. The only comment we have is that we will be consulting with our clients over the next few days on the full content of the report as well as the recommendations.
The President says it's noted the complaints from some of the representatives of the injured and arrested persons and of the families of those who died in Marikana, and that the President did not want to further delay its release given the recent urgent application and the various requests for the report to be released. Waiting 2 days after completing his process for the sake of a few would have been unfair to the majority in the country who wanted it to be released immediately. With the report more than 600 pages long, many will be looking to scrutinize its contents before making final pronouncements on the recommendations.
Violence has no place in our democracy that we worked so hard to achieve and build.
Nozintombi Miya, SABC News, Johannesburg.